And welcome back, everybody, to Check the Report here on the Detroit Sports Podcast Network. Here today with Kris Dehnert of Dugout Mugs. It's a great story. I'm looking forward to this conversation. Like I'm prone to do when I'm watching sports, I happened to look down on my phone. I was scrolling through Instagram a couple months back, and I came across this ad for an amazing product called a Dugout Mug. And I look at it, I'm like, wait a minute. These guys imprint logos from Major League Baseball onto a real wooden bat? And I looked at it and I said, okay, you know what? And I'm prone to impulse buys. I made the purchase. And like you guys have seen on our Twitter page at Detroit Podcast, I'm enjoying beer, adult beverages, drinks out of this Dugout Mug. And I'm here today with the CEO of Dugout Mugs. Kris, welcome to the podcast.
What's happening? Glad to be here. Thanks for having us. And hey, welcome to the Dugout, right? Like,
Absolutely.
glad to have you.
No, we're here.
You're not only a spokesman, you're also a client, right?
Yeah. Now, on our podcast, we always enjoy conversating with those that are creating businesses, creating opportunities, building their brands. So I'm just curious, first and foremost, how did Dugout Mugs come to be?
My business partner, Randall Thompson, who was a pitcher in the Blue Jays organization originally, and he wasn't good enough to go all the way, right? Like 99.9% of the players, but he's a real creative guy. Like, when you get to know him, it's not that weird that he came up with this idea, because he's just a quirky dude that comes up with strange ideas and loves to just see where they go, right? And back in 2014, he was coaching at his alma mater, Florida Tech, here in Central Florida, East Coast. And one of the other coaches was cut bats in half to do a hitting drill, and the barrels were just sitting around the dugout. And Randall was like, I bet I could drink out of that. Why, he thought, I have no idea. But as it turns out, you can. And you can actually put it into a pretty sick business. And then fast forward actually to January 2017, a few months earlier, a guy called me out of the blue with an idea that he had, that he really wanted to, he had played around with the idea and sold some, but he wanted to go. Like, he was ready to make this happen. And we came to terms on what that looks like as business partners. I stepped in as a significant equity partner in the company, along with Randall. It's basically the two of us. And I have a pretty particular set of skills when it comes to business, sales, marketing, promotion, and a good network, a really good network that we could immediately dive into. And then we just picked lanes and just went to town with it. And fast forward 5 years, almost 5 years now, and we've grown triple digits every year for 5 years. And it just keeps getting bigger, and it keeps getting more fun, and it keeps getting more effortless, and all the things it keeps doing is it's just a huge blessing.
It's a huge blessing, and it's great. And I want to get your story in sports. Where did you grow up? Who were the teams in sports that you supported as a young person?
So I'm from Central Florida, and I'm from Winter Haven originally. So the Boston Red Sox, or the Indians. And I saw a little bit of the Red Sox. Like, you'd see Ball and Clemens and these guys out at Applebee's or Chili's or whatever after the game. So I was a little kid. I actually remember I got the ball up behind me. I went up to Roger Clemens and Orion's Steakhouse after a game, because they were spring training around or whatever, and got him to sign a ball for this. I was probably 6. I don't know. Anyway, but most of my growing up, it was the Indians. Albert Bell and Kenny Lofton and Bob Feller was always in the stands hanging out with people. Charles Nagy, those guys. It was a lot of fun. Baerga, he was one of my favorites. And then obviously, being in Polk County right next to Lakeland, we got a ton of the Tigers. So we would always go to the Tigers and the Indians games as when I was probably in my early teens. That like 8, when you're really loving the game, from like 8 to about 15, then you can drive and go on a date and stuff like that as things went sideways. But my early years, it was probably those teams. And again, I grew up, so my guy, Ken Griffey Jr., that was the one I really, really loved. That butter swing he had, it was just special. Right. Which, of hindsight, fast forward with Dugout, I ended up getting a chance to meet Ken and presenting him with a Lifetime Achievement Award. So it just came full circle, which was super dope. But yeah, so my early years is probably like that. That's about how I rounded out.
Yeah, absolutely. Baseball is such a unique game that once you gravitate toward it as a young person, you definitely get hooked with the players, the
Yeah.
memories, and especially with the Red Sox, all their struggles. My goodness, what was it like watching their come up as they finally turned the corner and started winning championships?
Well, for me, see, I wasn't a Red Sox. That was early because I got to meet a couple of the
Mm,
guys. Right. It was really more the Indians,
mm.
the Albert Bells. That team. That team of the '90s. Like that was more kind of where I was. But
It
the
was
Red Sox, again. So here's the funny part: is people ask me all the time, how long have I been in love with baseball? Well, for the longest time, I don't know if you can see it, even up behind me. I got footballs up there from Peyton and Tebow and whatever. I was a football fan,
mm,
right? But what was really unique about baseball was Randall and this venture 5 years ago brought me back to the game. And now I got MLB Network. I'm watching the games every night. I'm knowing the stats. I'm watching Ohtani. It's cool that it made enough of an impact. And I played for about 7 or 8 years, and I was an all-star most of those years. But it came back, right? Like, and now football, I'm like, yeah, I don't even watch it anymore. Maybe Super Bowl I'll watch, but
mhm.
yeah, it's crazy the transition, and I, it's because of Dugout. Being in and around, I work with the players all the time, work with the teams all the time. I get to go to the stadium, so I mean, I went back in full bore, back into baseball.
Nice. What a great sport too, especially being that, it's a sport that you can pay attention to for a longer period of time. Football, 16 games, it has a lot of time off. Baseball, you can get immersed in it with a 162 game schedule. And even with the Indians, they had their come up and their struggles here and there, kind
Yeah.
of like the Tigers a little bit in that they're a franchise that they get ever so close and then they had those failures.
When they had some serious players come through there, and you love to see guys do good because it's a tough game, but to see some of the talent that's gone through, just like Miami, just like the Marlins, right? But the Tigers, they got some nice talent coming up. They got Isaac Paredes, they got Torkelson, Mize. These guys can play, you know. It's really cool. Riley Green, I think's there too. Like they got some talent coming down that pipeline, and I think they're going to have a pretty talented squad.
That's the hope here in Detroit, obviously now in their
Yeah.
rebuild year 4, year 5. So I'm curious, did you get into a business background when you went from high school into an educational setting? What was your training like and college experience like?
um well, so with college, I didn't hang around too long. I made it out of high school, high honors, high marks, but I didn't pay attention. I was sharp, I got through it, and I got through it with high marks, and then I went into uh, college, and I don't know why, right? It wasn't for me, and I made it about a semester. I was looking into, I think it was massage therapy or something, right? Like, come on. What I realized is that I'm really good with people, and I'm really good with sales, and I'm really good with just communicating and having fun and getting outside the box. And just that's what lit me up. And I got fired from about 5 or 6 jobs, right? Because I wanted to do it my way. In hindsight, my way probably would have worked better than what they were doing. But then I ended up at Gold's Gym, and there was a guy there, the owner of the gym. He let me do things my way in a lot of scenarios. Like I would bring dump trucks with dirt and filled up the gym and built a beach and threw a luau. Like I would do really odd things. But what happened is we consistently won awards for we consistently won awards for top gyms in the southeastern United States. We did hundreds of memberships a day because of some of these promotions and things that we were doing. And it really just, I had full range to just get really creative. So I ended up in the gym industry, which was sales, people, communication, creativity, outside the box. Like I found my space. And then I just decided, well, if I can do it here, there's a new website came out called Facebook. And I was like, well, I can leverage this online thing and do this, still create relationships and communication and things like that. Well, why don't I just do it one to many versus one to one? Well, that just took off. And then I was like, well, so I'll go do real estate now. So then I was a real estate investor, and I was buying and flipping houses all over the country, all through Facebook, and never a sight unseen. I didn't even see the houses, right? I sold like 105 between me and my students because I had a coaching program. Anyway, point is it was just stepping stones, right? And in the progression of it all. And then I thought, well, real estate's too risky. It was in 2008, by the way, when I did that. And thank God we were successful at it. But then then I get into fan pages, and then I got into communities, and then I started working with like the Duck Dynasty people. And then as the Tebow Foundation, I was working with them. I had the biggest pages in the world for Mariano Rivera and all, and then I owned all of these eyeballs. Now what do I do with it? And that's when I was delivered to e-commerce a decade ago, and apparel. I had an apparel company and a consulting company, and it was all just in and around creative, outside the box marketing thought processes and how to leverage social media to build brands, build customers, build relationships, and ultimately build businesses. And it's worked out pretty well. Dugout, I think, is my 8th venture, legitimate venture. And when I dial it all the way back and look at the common denominator, it all comes back to creative, outside the box marketing, networking, and social media. Absolutely. So that's a long answer, but that was my college, right? Like that was my college. That's how I did it.
No, that's why I love and enjoy these conversations, because everybody that I've spoken with has a different path. And sometimes we learn a lot more from our failures than we actually do with our successes.
Absolutely.
And your story is absolutely one of success. And you can tell right away, based on the fact that you have the ability with your company to generate eyeballs and have great creative ads. I mean, the spots you guys do on Instagram are definitely engaging. You got me right away with it. The first ad that I saw, I made a purchase because it was intriguing. It was unique. It was fresh. And you could tell the company is doing great things. And I absolutely love the product. I'm curious.
Well, I want to touch on something you mentioned, doing the right things. That is crucial. And from the very beginning, one of the common threads that Randall and I noticed about one another is that we both want to do the right thing as frequently as we can. And I told him, I said, dude, that's what's going to happen. If we do the right thing every single day, the results are it's just going to work out. You just have to trust in that system. Focus on doing the right things consistent, just like he became a professional pitcher. Go through the mechanics, only focus on the little things consistently. And what happens is you end up as a professional baseball player. Right. And that's what we did with Dugout. And I think that's part of the reason we grew the audience we did. We have the reputation that we have, and we've achieved the levels of success that we have because of doing the right thing consistently and not focusing on the money, the growth, the other stuff that happens. Anyway, it's just worth pointing out.
Absolutely. And the part that I also wanted to touch on too is now you're the CEO of Dugout. So you obviously work with a team of people, and you told me in the past, you've drawn upon experiences where people didn't trust your vision. Now, what are some clues or hints that you could give an audience potentially in terms of collaborating with a group of people with a common vision? Because, as a head of a company myself, you find it hard sometimes to collaborate and take others' opinions and things like that when you have a potential vision that might be even outside the box. And I draw upon my experience as a podcaster. I had a vision back in 2013 about starting a podcast and running it a certain way. Others might have viewed it a lot differently. Now I trusted my vision, and I believe you have as well. How did you, as you became now in this role as CEO, how do you feel like you are collaborating and taking different ideas from a bunch of different sources?
Well, I think there's a couple parts to that. I think the first part of that is, if you're not a good leader, go find a good leader and get out of your own damn way. That's number one. I happen to be a good leader, so I could step in and do that. And I think one of the most important things you can do is be articulate and detailed with your vision. There's a saying I love, and it's applicable in multiple areas of business. If your plan is better than their plan, they're going with your plan. And I practice what I preach. So when I step into something, I either have a plan that is crystal clear, and they look at it and like, well, shit, my plan is not that good, so we're just going to go with his plan. The point is you, and again, I have a clear vision of things because I have a lot of experience from my previous ventures too. So I'm not just saying you can just instantly have this confidence, which I have confidence, I have experience, but I also I paint very clear pictures. And one of the things that I think was pretty revolutionary, we don't talk about it a ton, but it is give direction, not directions. Okay. Because when you hire the right people, it's because they're the right people. If you're just hiring to fill spots, you're in trouble anyway. But if you can paint the picture and then give them direction, not directions. Does that make sense? Absolutely. That's the ticket. That is the ticket. It's like, here's the vision. Here's where we're going. Here's what we do. Here's our mission. Here's why we do what we do. Can we all see that clearly? Okay. Now I'm going to back up and you guys go do it. Right. And then, you know what I mean? And then trust the system and trust the people. I think that is one of the key components to properly collaborating with a team, with another company. It's just having clear vision and clear direction, not directions.
I forget this is here for a game. Somebody got one.
Yeah, take me through the first couple years with Dugout. How did you start to know that this product was going to be successful and maybe be the company that you're envisioning and working with right now?
So I had a much more clear vision. This was Randall's first venture, right, outside of baseball. I spent decades being a big leaguer, right? So when you step out of that, like you have a, you know, he was a little naive, which I think helped us in some ways and it hurt us in some ways too. But that's okay. Like we're just fine. But what I saw is when, you know, cause I've sold a lot of products and with e-commerce and I understand sales, very deeply, and sales is very deeply ingrained in me and understanding and reading people. So when I took a Dugout mug out into the, actually, you know what? I grabbed this because we were going to be on the call. This is the first mug Randall ever gave me, right? Signed by John Smoltz. That was fun. But anyway, he gave me this mug and I said, I thought it was kind of weird. I was honest with him. That's kind of a weird idea, buddy. But he said, carry it around with you. So I did. And I walked in and I'm big on feedback, right? Because oftentimes, more times than not, you get in your own way. So I went into people and I said, what do you think about this? You know, do you love it? Do you hate it? What's your gut? How much would you pay? You know, just started asking questions, which we do to this day with our customer base. When we rolled out the brand new stainless, this thing right here, the stainless mugs that go live this month, we polled our audience for weeks and weeks to learn what we needed to learn. So anyway, when I did that, I got a lot of good feedback and I carried it around, and every 5 to 10 steps, someone was asking about it. And I was like, man, that's interesting, right? And I've sold some popular stuff, right, online, but this was a little different. And I knew everything takes longer, costs more, needs more people. It's just what it is. And Randall was a one-man band. And I knew quickly that if we were going to grow this to where we were going to grow this, I immediately needed to get involved. And that's why I said the only way this is happening is if I'm involved as a partner and I'm the CEO, because we're both going to need all that we can give to make this work. And I had a restaurant, I had some other ventures, and those got put to the wayside. Randall had to quit his job, was part of our deal, and he did that. We were both all in at that point, and I got enough good feedback on it. Now, I wouldn't have suggested he did that if I didn't think it was a pretty strong path, but through some of my other companies, I also had a lot of good connections. So the first thing I asked myself is, there are people in my network that I can leverage to impact this deal positively, quickly? And the answer was yes. And I identified 3 different individuals. So we got our first license within the first 6 months of really moving. And that was with the MLB Players Association, which are still dear friends to this day. And obviously we do a lot with them. So I remember sitting out on my back porch, and Randall and I had a cigar, and we were talking about this company and what it could be. And I remember the number 5 million coming up, and it was like a deer in headlights. Which that's exciting for somebody like me, who I've made it all and then lost it all and then made it all and lost it all again. And so I knew how to get there because I'd done it twice. And just seeing Randall trying to wrap his head around it was amazing, because it's like, man, me and this guy's green as you can get in a lot of ways. We get to go do this together. And I had just come out. I actually almost died the year before through a ruptured appendix, and I didn't go to the hospital. Long story, but I had a second shot at it, right, at life, and I was like, okay, I'm listening now. So let's do something fun. Give me somebody that needs my skill set that we can run. And he's like, man, give me somebody with a skill set, and I want to turn this in, change my life with this. Anyway, that's what happened. And we got a lot of great feedback, and we got a lot of great support from our networks. And yeah, man, it's been I'd like to say it's a roller coaster, but it's more kind of just straight up since we started.
What you're saying is you identified pretty quickly the signs that this was going to be successful, which then enticed you to keep working hard and using all the skills that you had to build the brand. And I think that what you're saying is passion and knowledge and experience, and using a collaborative team approach can make, especially with a great idea, can make a business venture just skyrocket to the moon. And you can see the passion in which you,
and I think leverage too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And
I think leverage too is a big part of it, because so it's leverage. It's across the board. It's OPM, other people's money. One of the first things we did is we got cash, operating expense, or operating capital. The second thing is we needed an edge. So we leveraged contacts and instantly got our MLBPA license. Then we needed, it was just leverage, right? We hired an employee before we could afford it, because we needed more time so that we could leverage that person to free up our time so we can grow and she could run. And that it was just kind of leverage is a big piece. Knowing risk tolerance, which mine was higher than Randall's. That was one of the things, right? Like I had a risk tolerance that was much, much, much higher. But we found a happy medium. So what could we risk? What could we manage? And then what could we leverage? And then we just kept our eyes 10 feet in front of us and 10 feet higher the whole time. And then just kept doing that consistent things. And I remember one day, this is funny, we laugh about it all the time. Randall said, so when does this get fun? And I remember that. And I said, dude, the fun part is coming. I promise. Trust the system. Let's keep doing the right things every single day. And we look back, and now, first class flights and behind the home plate seats in Fenway. And, it's finally gotten to the fun part. I think he would agree. But I remember that. It's like it was just the other day,
And like you said,
anyway,
hard work, absolutely hard work. You had the vision, and now you reap the rewards and the benefits of the vision. And so now, once you become successful and you have a product that people want, what's the next step for Dugout Mugs?
Well, keep going is one of the biggest parts of it. I believe you build a company, you build it in such a way that you can sell it if you choose to. So that's what we're doing. We're building a lot of the infrastructure, and we're continuing to build the brand. We're going international. We're now in 7 different countries. Dugout Mugs are officially in 7 different countries. Our Cheers to Charity initiative over the last 12 months is something that we're super proud of. We've donated over 50,000, I think, right? Just over $50,000 we've donated to charity. And the Cheers to Charity initiative is something that we want to see continue to move. We've worked with Big Papi and Mariano Rivera and David Mickey Evans and Pete Rose and Pudge Rodriguez and the Weeks brothers, Eddie Guardado. And then we also work with just random people that you've never heard of that started a little league for mentally handicapped children because they want to play baseball too. Right. Like, just so with Dugout, we really pulled back and we're like, so what are we doing here? And we celebrate and serve the heroes of the baseball community. That's what we do by creating really fun gifts that bring them closer to the game they love, but also supporting the community that supports us. So in August, for example, doing a whole thing right now, maybe you saw it online, where we're telling people to nominate somebody. Tell us a good story about a good person doing some good stuff. We're going to give them $1,000 so they can do it a little better. And then we'll do a fundraiser, and then we'll do a write-up, and then we'll do a community feature for them and all this. So I think that's really what we're focusing on now, because this product sells itself, and our stainless one's going to do the same thing. So all we need to do is just keep doing the right things every single day and let the rest sort itself out. And that's creating fun content, that's doing fun giveaways, that's taking care of our customers, that's creating high quality products, getting them to people fast. You know, that's what we do. If we do that every day and take care of the baseball community, we got no worries. Everything's just going to keep coming right back home.
Yeah, absolutely. You can see the passion and the enthusiasm coming through in this interview. We're talking to Kris Dehnert of Dugout Mugs, the CEO. You can check out dugoutmugs.com/DSP20 for 20% off all items on the site. A great working relationship that we're just now beginning with Dugout Mugs, a great product. You're going to see videos with myself talking about Detroit sports. I mean, the one when the Pistons had the opportunity in the draft lottery, I sat down in my backyard, poured a cocktail, and said, okay, what are we doing? Now, I got the prediction wrong. I felt the Pistons were going to get the third pick. They eventually got the first pick, but people started wondering right away, what is that? That's really interesting. And the Dugout Mug is fun. And look, if you're a fan of the Red Sox, Indians, Tigers, make sure you go get the product. It's real great. You guys have great technology to be able to slap a great logo,
Thank you.
a mug. And it's just, like you said, the product sells.
And the shot glass thing we're running right now. Hopefully you share that with your audience as well. Get a Detroit shot glass for free. We normally sell those things for $30, but we gave you a link. What is it? /DSP free, I think.
Absolutely.
Check that out. Like I think it's like $9 shipping and handling, and it's at your door. And now you're part of the dugout, and you got a Detroit Tigers shot glass made out of a bat handle. So that's always a fun one too, man.
Now, you said the response from the players has just been tremendous. You had an opportunity now to meet Ken Griffey. What was that like? And what's been the response of the players and meeting and interacting with players and people that potentially in the past were your idols?
Well, the one about Griffey, that was a cool project. It was in our first year of business. I managed to get to LA for an event that was there, and me just being good with people, I managed my way from the front door backstage and working with the photographer. And I brought mugs for all the players that were getting awards. And I ended up giving him the Lifetime Achievement Award, photos of us and everything. It was pretty funny the way it worked out. I think that was the moment when Randall realized that anytime I set my mind on something, we're getting there somehow. But the players as a whole, they've just really, they love our product. They're baseball guys. Like, they get it. We have hundreds of current and past players that we work with. And the most flattering part is it's not a promotion. We don't pay them for that. There's no better compliment that we can get, that these players love our products. They gift our products to their parents, to their dads, to their wives. The players' wives walk around with our wind-up mugs. It's just really cool to see the support that comes of it. And there's a brotherhood. Baseball's a brotherhood if you've been a player or are a player. So Randall being in that, they all came up through the same struggle, and to see one of their own make it, like, this is our big leagues, and we are literally the best in the world at what we do, and they're the best in the world at what they do. And there's a mutual respect, maybe not at first, but where we've gotten to at this point, there's certainly a mutual respect, and our product and our brand and our company are very, very well known and respected throughout baseball, which is it's amazing.
Yeah, here on Check the Report, we've had the pleasure of speaking with Dugout Mug CEO Kris Dehnert. So we asked, when does this get fun? It's always fun to share conversation and knowledge with people who are passionate, who want to share their experiences and are doing big things with big companies. And I know right away, I could tell right away that Dugout Mugs was going to do great things. And I've enjoyed the conversation, Kris. Best of luck.
Likewise.
I know we're going to talk again, because baseball, sports, it opens up the opportunity to talk about a wide variety of things. So when the new products roll out, hit me up. Let's have an open forum and talk sports. I can sense your passion. I know you sense mine, and we're going to talk again, because you're definitely somebody in the know. And anytime an opportunity comes, you let us know here at Detroit Sports Podcast, and we're going to help you guys out.
You got it, man. I appreciate the support. Thanks for having me.